That's the flood victim that we're going to work on in the Bundy floods, 2013 floods. Went up to the Yamaha badge, the flood water. This is the standard we're working on. It's got bent fork legs, which is why the pipe bender is there. Fix that. Bike on your left is Eveready's, and the red one on the right is mine. So what we're going to do, we pull the legs out of this standard, we fixed them, straightened them up. I'm just going to make a real quick tool for guys that haven't pulled the fork legs apart. A real quick show how they kind of work and how the easiest way to get them in and out. So what happens, the biggest thing when you undo your legs, you're undoing that nut out of this part of your fork leg, and what happens is you loosen this nut off here underneath and that turns inside your legs. That's the biggest hassle. So you have to make some sort of a tool to come down your fork leg, grab hold of the top of that so that you can undo and do up your bolt in reassembly. So that's the idea of the game today. We're going to make a real quick tool. What you need to do, slip down to your Bunnings, a bolt shop, wherever you buy a bolt, 19mm is what you need for it to slip into the end of your head. Now if you got a file or grinders or whatever you got at home, if you just take that little bit of a chamfer off the edge of your nuts, or off the top of the shoulder, so it fits nice and neat inside your head of your shaft. So 19mm, doesn't really matter about the length of it. The other thing you need, I'll show you, is we need a heap of extensions for your ratchet and an 11mm socket. And the 11mm socket is going to go over the end of your thread, and we'll show you how we're going to knock that over there shortly. We're just going to get a hammer and tap it over. I've done already, we've done this, I've put a small taper, a leading edge on there so that your socket pretty much goes on square, so you don't muck around too much belting your socket on crooked and it doesn't work. So that's pretty much what we're going to do. So we get, we've taken the chamfer off your heads of your bolt, drop it in your vise, socket on the top, just give it a light tap, a couple of light taps onto it, a light tap. That's your tool made up onto your extension leads. So when your fork leg is inside and everything is together, that's sitting in there. As long as it reaches about the 350mm mark, that's all you're chasing, and then you can do it up as you go. So rebound spring over your, whatever it's called, down your leg.
That's a damper rod, by the way.
Damper rod, thank you, Ev. Your small tapered cone over the end of that. Being very careful, these have got oil on them already, but new seals, you need to be careful. Slide that through there, down to the end, drop your bolt in the end, Allen key, screw your Allen key up, and what will happen is you'll get to here, and as you start to tighten it up, that's where your internal damper rod will start spinning. So put it in a vise, do that up, put your socket in the end of it, straight down the end of your rod, and it'll catch. You can't do anything but catch. And then you grab it up, you do it up, doing it up. Now that there, when you've got that little bit of pressure on it, if you're doing it from this end, that's where it will spin. So you put that on there, get a little bit of tube or a spanner or whatever you like, and Bob's your uncle, job's done. Thanks for coming. All comes out the end, and then at the end of it, because you've only used the socket with a small light on it, put it in the vise, grab yourself another small hammer, centre pop through the centre of your socket, give it a light tap. You've got an 11mm socket, you've got a 10mm bolt, stick that in your toolbox somewhere with a lever so that you know what it's for. Your 11mm socket goes back in its toolbox. So from there, you put your spring in. Well, you fill it full of oil first. 212 milliliters on a standard fork leg. Put your spring in. Drop that up there. Got your little disc, sits on top of your fork spring, and then you get your dampener adjuster or whatever you want to call it, and then it's a matter of putting that in there. This is where it gets a bit difficult because you have to dry hands, dry everything. All you can do is push it down, and you need to hold that down, hold the nut down and your fork leg up. The spring has a small taper on the bottom versus the size of it at the top. So when you look at it, you'll see it, it's obvious. You put the smaller end of the spring to the bottom of the fork leg, and the top of the spring is an even size. You'll see it plain as day. So just double check that when you're putting your springs in your legs. And then you get your dampener adjuster or whatever you want to call it, and then it's a matter of putting that in there. This is where it gets a bit difficult because you have to dry hands, dry everything. All you can do is push it down, and you need to hold that down, hold the nut down and your fork leg up, and it takes a bit of doing. Get it, hold it all down. I haven't found an easy way of doing this yet, so if somebody's got a really easy way of doing it, leave it in the comments bit.
I'll put it in the comments. Put the fork leg up into the triple clamps of the bike.
Yeah.
And then use a socket.
Yep, righto.
And push down on it.
There you go. But it's done up. So cool. Yep. Do you have a 19mm socket, Ev?
I've got the universal.
You can't use that on the triple clamp though.
No.
No, so you use a 19mm socket to hold it on.
Sorry.
Right, so that's the matter of that. It's all done. You do that up. Now the other thing I should tell you is we've done this a bit back to front. Before you pull this out of the bike, before you undo your bolts on your triple tree and your head, undo that first before you undo any other bolts, because that is going to be unbelievably hard to undo on the bench. So when you go to pull these out, that's the first thing you undo. Just crack it, just so you can move it. It'll take nothing to move it once it's undone, but undo that before you undo any of the triple tree bolts. So that pretty much is a very quick way of making a tool to get the inside of your dampener rod out without any hassles. Have a go. Grab yourself another small hammer. Wherever my pin punch is gone, don't really matter, that won't work. A small tap, maybe. Where's my pin punch gone? But it's just a matter of, I don't want to use that. Where's it gone? But anyway, turn it on.